Hello and welcome to Choose Amazing. I'm Stuart Hite, author of the book Choose Amazing Health and the My Amazing Life Planner. And this segment is going to be about making choices. What drives our choices? So I'm calling this the 4 Ds of choices. And this has to do with moving from one place to another. And in anything in life pretty much boils down to 3 categories: survival, comfortable, and freedom. So whether it's money, whether it's relationships, whether it is your health, the things that drive us are fascinating to actually sit down and study. When you're in survival mode, and we'll just use money as an example here for the concepts. If you have no money coming in and no food in the house and you don't know where your next meal is coming from, then you are in survival mode and you are going to do anything and learn anything to drive over that bridge from survival over to the comfortable zone. And those choices that we make are driven by that motivation. Now, motivation sometimes is thought of to be just a positive affirmation and so forth, but no, this is what drives you, what makes you decide I've got to do something. When you get up in the morning and you're going to do something that day, it's dependent upon your motivation. And people are generally motivated by 2 things. One is avoiding pain or some consequence, and the other one is to get a reward, some kind of pleasurable thing. And in money, since we're just going to talk about money here, the lack of money and being in survival mode there, the consequence is if I don't do something, I won't get to eat. My kids won't get to eat. I'll lose my house. I'll lose my car, something like that. So all of a sudden now there's huge motivation because the consequence is really big. And so that drives you over into the comfortable zone. And I call this the zone of misery because for some reason, once we cross that bridge over into comfortable, we stop. We're no longer in survival mode. So we don't have that, oh, I'm going to lose my car, I'm going to lose my house, I'm not going to eat. But we stop looking forward for something that's amazing. And we've gotten to where we don't even think about amazing anymore. We think about just getting through the day. Maybe getting to the weekend. That may be as far ahead as we're going to think. But instead of really looking at being free, freedom, or amazing, what you really want in life, in any of those categories, money or relationships or health, the motivation, the drive there is different to move you from comfortable to freedom because you're not in survival. It's not as high of a pain anymore. Now you have to look at getting the reward of pleasure of some kind or freedom. And for some reason, that is not as high of a driving force as getting out of survival mode. And so we want to look at what I call the 4 Ds of this decision making, this choice making, and how can we use some of the same aspects that got us out of survival mode into comfortable and use that to move into the free to live your dreams category. And the first D is denial. It is rampant, unfortunately, that we have some denial of what the actual situation is right now. We like to think things are better than what they are. We don't want to think about, oh, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, or boy, what would happen if I lost my job? What would I do? Well, it'll all work out, or God is in control. But those can be a little bit deceptive because the actions over here, you didn't just say that when you were in survival mode. You didn't just sit back and say, well, God is in control and it'll all work out. You actually got up and you did something or learned something so you could get out of that zone. So this denial here refers to how far away this line of survival is. We think when we get comfortable, oh yeah, we're good for quite a while. We're all right. Everything's going to be fine. And we don't want to think about the fact that if we lost our job today, that maybe we'd have to give up some things that we don't want to give up. Maybe we would suffer, our family would suffer a little bit more. We don't like to think about that because that's painful. And so we just say, no, it's okay. Everything's all right. You just kind of ignore it and pull the covers over your face so that you can't see the monster that's there. And so denial of how close you really are to that survival line right now, even though you're in the comfortable zone, can be very, very crucial and dangerous because you think it's farther away than it really is. And the next D is going to be disbelief. Sometimes what's keeping you from moving into this free forever and out of the comfortable zone is disbelief. You don't think that it's possible. You think that it's just for some genetic mutants or something to get free. So you don't want to believe it. You don't want to believe that it's possible so that you can just stay in this zone of misery. And it's just easier because if you did believe it was possible, then you would actually be responsible or accountable, and you needed to do something and learn anything to get over this hump. And so we'd rather just believe, no, it's not possible. It's not going to work. The next D is doubt. And this has to do with doubting yourself, doubting your worth, doubting your abilities, doubting, maybe you believe that there are some ways that are possible, but you don't think you can do it, or you don't think you should do it, or we have these things that go through our minds of doubt. And so that is just easier. Instead of facing that doubt and recognizing it and really thinking it through and addressing it, we just stay in this comfortable zone. The next D is deception, which has to do also with dialogue. And this is from your peers, your friends, your family, your coworkers, media, the social media. All these other places are telling you that you've got to stay right here. They're deceiving you. No, you can't do that. That's just for the freaks. That's just for the weirdos. You want to stay right here in this comfortable zone because you don't want to be different. You don't want people to think you're weird. And this dialogue then that they tell you, oh, that's evil, or money's horrible, or people are greedy, or you got to cheat people. It's things like this dialogue that you start running through your mind that people have been telling you from all these different angles. And so you say, well, okay, then that's the truth. So I'm just going to stay in comfortable zone. So all four of these D's, denial, disbelief, doubt, and deception, are all circulating in your brain and are preventing you from moving over to free. So we want to contrast this with what is the D's that you should be having so that you are empowered to move forward. And this first level, in contrast to denial, you want to dig deep. You want to recognize that this is not where you really want to be. There's something more that you really want, whether it's travel, whether it's just not being a slave to the job, or being able to do things for your family, or maybe it's your health, recognizing that if I don't do something about this, it's going to take some years off of my life. I'm not going to be able to enjoy time with my grandkids or my kids or my spouse or whatever it is. So you got to dig deep and really think through, what is my current situation? Where am I right now? We'll go back to money. If I lost my current job right now, how long could I survive? Is my current job really the amazing outlook that I had? Is this what I imagined when I was growing up as a teenager, or even in your early 20s? Is this where I wanted to be? And put down what is amazing to you. And it's okay if it's not amazing right now, but you want to figure out what is that would make it amazing, because then you can get a detailed plan to move to that. But if we stay in this denial, you're never going to move forward. The next D to counteract disbelief is desire. And when you decide that you want something bad enough, when you must have something bad enough, that disbelief goes away, because you're going to find a way to do it. Back here in the survival mode, where you do anything, learn anything, it didn't matter. You're gonna figure out a way, because it's a must. If I don't do this, there's going to be huge consequence. We want to do the same thing here, but make it a desire for something more, something amazing for your kids, for your spouse, for your home, for you. What would that amazing life be? And you get very clear on that, and that grows your desire to where, you know what, other people have done it, so I believe it is possible. And when that desire is high enough, then that disbelief goes away. The next one, for doubt, to erase doubt, you need to define. You need to define what it is that is holding you back. You need to define who you are. You need to define the options, the training abilities, the outcome. You need to define that. See, you've been told by social media and mainstream media and maybe even traditional education that you can't do it. You're just average. You should be average. And only the really freaky weirdos are the ones that are going to move forward. And everyone will laugh at you, and it'll be lonely. And you just don't want to do that. That's what you've been trained to think, that you're not worth it, that you don't have the abilities, that nobody cares about you and wants you to be successful. And that's the doubt that comes into play. And you have to decide, who are you going to believe? Who are you going to let define who you are and what your value is? God has a very different view of you than people on your social media list. So who do you want to believe? Do you want to believe the creator of the universe and what they think you're worth? Or do you want to believe the haters on social media? Or do you want to believe the people in the news that try and tell you everything's horrible, you're horrible, life is horrible, and you can't do anything about it? Who are you going to believe? I'm going to go with God on this one and start to define who I am based on his view of me, which does bring about some accountability. There's some things that God would expect from me, but just knowing that the creator of the universe is caring about me specifically and has a plan outlined so that I can have amazing life is really cool. And then at that point, if somebody else that I don't even know tries to say I'm ugly or I'm stupid or whatever, does it really matter what they say, what their definition of my value is? Because I'm going to choose to take God's definition and really determine what that is. The last one, this deceptive dialogue that we have, the way you can counteract that is by being dynamic and thinking outside the box, thinking about things differently, taking a different perception of things. Instead of there's only one way to go here from comfortable to free forever, and if you tried that once and it didn't work, oh, then it's impossible to do. Well, maybe there's another way to do it. Maybe there wasn't training that you had to do that. See, whatever job that you have, that you are in right now, or any job that you've really ever had, required some training. And you didn't get that at 3 years old. There's things that you had to learn in order to do the skills that you have right now. Well, the same thing is needed to move from comfortable to free forever. You've got to train yourself to think differently, to learn new skills, to master new ideas and perceptions. That's what's going to move you out of this cycle that's going on in your mind of you can't, you're not worth it, it's not possible, they're evil, and you'll lose your friends, it'll be lonely, you'll fail. All that dialogue that goes on, you got to break that cycle with a clear plan and with redefining who you are, digging deep and recognizing the reality of the situation, both present and where you want to go, the desire of what you really want that would be amazing. That is how you break this cycle and move from denial, disbelief, doubt, deception to dig deep and desire and define and dynamic. This is a process. It's not going to change overnight. It's going to change in just this one little segment. But I believe every single day you have a choice. You can do something average and get average results, or you can do something amazing, which is going to bring you amazing results. And I say, choose amazing.